When an applicant submits a commercial zoning request, there is often a discrepancy between what is claimed on the paperwork and how the site operates. We evaluate that gap to determine if a proposed business fits safely into its surroundings, or if the math inevitably leads to a physical clash with local infrastructure. Brevard County Application Number 25SP00033 outlines a project named Rokutana Vintage Car Showroom. In their formal April response to county reviewers, the civil engineer explicitly claims this business only receives inventory via single-car trailers, with typical deliveries bringing just 1 or 2 vehicles at a time. The empirical evidence dictates otherwise. Social media records from the site's operating entity, Karuma Imports, confirm their inventory routinely arrives and departs using multi-vehicle WB50 stacked commercial carriers and tilt-bed trailers. Traffic engineering originally mandated an auto-turn simulation to ensure the site could handle these exact WB50 vehicles. The applicant refused to provide the test, pointing back to their written claim that they do not use them. By classifying a high-volume import operation as a low-impact showroom on paper, the applicant bypasses the heavy infrastructure standards and traffic engineering safeguards designed to protect the public right-of-way. This discrepancy relies on a common regulatory tactic, utilizing 2 distinct corporate entities to obscure the true density of a single commercial parcel. This flowchart maps the direct relationship between the paper applicant, Rokutana LLC, and the true operating entity possessing the actual inventory, Karuma Imports LLC. We are looking at a 100-plus vehicle inventory, attempting to flow into a single 12,000 square foot building footprint. Relying strictly on the paperwork of the first entity, the applicant can state in their April 1st response that no commercial vehicles are proposed on site, keeping the application clean while ignoring the physical demands of the second entity. Evaluating this site plan under the theoretical premise of a low-volume vintage showroom fails to address the structural reality. The site will operate as a dense Japanese domestic market import hub, and the math must be scrutinized accordingly. The constraints begin with the physical geometry of the 1.2-acre parcel and its proposed 12,000 square foot main structure. The applicant stated in their April 1st response that 0 outdoor parking or storage is proposed, claiming all vehicle inventory will be displayed entirely inside the building. This animated floor plan analyzes space allocation inside the structure. Subtracting the footprint required for ADA accessibility, fire routing, and office functions leaves a fixed area for vehicle storage. Florida Administrative Code Chapter 15C7 requires designated display stalls with specific dimensions. That remaining square footage cannot mathematically hold the operating entity's known fleet of over 100 vehicles. The spatial geometry runs out of room. Because the interior capacity is strictly deficient, the overflow inventory will inevitably end up stored outdoors in the parking lots, directly contradicting the written claims that secured the initial zoning reviews. The site plan's mathematics prove a 1.2-acre parcel cannot physically support this business model's inventory density without violating the state and county display codes. That geometric failure extends from the building's interior out to the site's external traffic access points along US 1 and Helmsman Place. In August 2025, traffic engineering mandated an auto-turn simulation to verify that a large WB50 type car carrier could safely traverse the site and exit onto the street. The applicant bypassed this test by entirely removing their proposed gate entrance from US 1 and asserting the WB50 simulation was unnecessary. This overhead vector map tracks the forced routing that actual multi-vehicle carriers must take now that access is restricted strictly to Helmsman Place. The WB50 truck's swept path simulation shows the trailer wheels crushing the existing landscaped median. The turning radius exceeds the available pavement. Code dictates that any commercial vehicles or equipment parked on such a parcel must be completely screened on all 4 sides by an opaque visual barrier. This layout analyzes the applicant's proposed defense. They rely on existing masonry walls to the east and south, and the showroom building itself to the west. However, this configuration leaves the north side entirely open, presenting a clear drive aisle violation. This objectively fails the 4-sided screening mandate, leaving high-intensity commercial loading activities exposed to the northern corridor and adjacent properties. the squeeze for space forces further compromises along the site's perimeter boundaries, leading to multiple requested environmental buffer waivers. The applicant has requested to compress the Type B roadway buffer down to 10 feet and the Type A residential buffer down to 13.4 feet. These represent the absolute maximum allowable reductions under the code. Shrinking these boundaries results in the failure to preserve protected and specimen trees, triggers alternative landscape enhancement plan fees, and severely degrades the required green shielding for nearby residential lots. The safety margins are similarly compressed in the fire prevention review. The site plan violates NFPA 18.5.3, which dictates the maximum allowable distance between fire hydrants. In their response, the applicant asks the county to accept the distance of more than 500 feet between hydrants as a necessary exception, labeling it a rare instance. That spacing gap presents a compounding danger for a 12,000 square foot building designed to store a high-density fuel load of internal combustion motor vehicles. The project relies on stripping away environmental protections and life safety margins strictly because the operational model is too physically large for the parcel's geometry. Application 25SP00033 fails because its stated low-impact use on paper cannot be reconciled with its high-impact operational reality. This places the reviewing body before a clear binary matrix based on objective code compliance, administrative denial, or strict conditional approval. The regulatory rationale for outright denial is grounded in the geometric impossibility of the site plan and the deceptive operational narrative used to bypass infrastructure tests. This diagram maps the path for conditional approval. If the county pursues this route, they must enforce 4 mandatory non-negotiable conditions to align the site with the law. Condition 1. Mandate a rigorous WB50 auto test to ensure commercial carriers can actually navigate Helmsman Place prior to any final site plan approval. Condition 2. Strictly enforce Section 62-2117C4, requiring a true 4-sided opaque screen for the loading zone to close the northern gap. Condition 3. Reject the Type A and Type B buffer waivers to ensure residential lots 63 and 66 are adequately protected from commercial encroachment. Condition 4. Require strict adherence to NFPA 18.5.3 fire hydrant spacing, allowing 0 exemptions for a facility storing a high density of motor vehicles. Zoning ordinances and traffic engineering codes exist precisely to prevent industrial-scale operations from forcing their geometric and safety externalities onto incompatible 1.2-acre commercial parcels.